My little brother the menace decided it would be romantic to hand out love letters to every girl in his school. Naturally, he ended up slipping one into the hands of his teacher. The teacher predictably wasn't thrilled and called for a parent-teacher conference. But my brother, a master of avoiding responsibility, was too chicken to tell our parents. So like the dutiful older brother I found myself summoned to the school. "He takes after you, you know," the teacher said, her voice laced with amusement. "You always did say, go for it. If it doesn't work out, there's always someone else." I froze, my gaze landing on the cool, composed woman sitting before me. It was Betsy, my ex-girlfriend, the one I hadn't seen since our messy breakup 3 years ago. No, I stammered, trying to backpedal. My brother the little devil chimed in. He said, "Even if you get her, there's always someone else." Betsy's eyebrow shot up. "So after you dumped me, who was the lucky next one?" The year I left for university, my parents, in a fit of empty nest syndrome, decided to have another baby. My dad flooded the family group chat with pictures of our new baby brother. Relatives either sent congratulations or questioned my parents' sanity. "He's a little angel," I'd argued, "never caused a fuss. His brother must be the same." 7 years later, I stood behind my exasperated father, who was tearing the house apart looking for duck sauce. "This kid is a whirlwind of chaos," I declared, relishing in my father's predicament. Turns out having a second child is karma for every smug parent. I snapped a picture of my father defeated, catering to my brother's every whim, and sent it to the family group chat, reaping a chorus of laughter. But family teasing aside, I adored my little brother. I pulled him away from our panting father, suggesting a trip to the store for a distraction. As we walked, my brother tugged my hand. "Lee," he began, and my gut twisted. Whenever he used my name, trouble followed. "There's something I need to tell you. As long as it doesn't involve another parent-teacher meeting, I'm all ears," I sighed. He stopped walking and I braced myself. The tale that unfolded made my blood run cold. "You're insane," I hissed once he finished. "Writing love letters to every girl in your school." Teachers were my kryptonite, inspiring a fear so primal it felt encoded in my DNA. When he asked me to talk to his teacher, I shook my head so violently I thought it might detach. "Dad will kill me," I exclaimed. "But Lee," he pleaded, "she's really pretty." I looked down at him. "Really pretty?" He nodded, resolute. My fate was sealed. The next day I found myself in front of Betsy's office, dressed in my best responsible adult attire. My carefully crafted smile evaporated the second the door swung open. My brother, looking sheepish, waved me over. "Lee, over here." He was seated in front of Betsy, who regarded me with an unreadable expression. My legs turned to jelly as I crossed the room. "You must be Alex's brother," she said coolly. "He's been calling himself Alex at school now, trying to sound cool, I guess." "It's been a while," I choked out, my tongue feeling 3 sizes too big. "You know Ms. Willow?" Alex asked, oblivious to the tension crackling between us. I shot him a look that could curdle milk. "Shut it," I muttered. "Alex's brother, is it?" Betsy said, her voice pulling me back to the present. She pushed her glasses up her nose, her tone laced with authority. "We're here to discuss Alex's behavior at school." She brandished a handful of envelopes. "These are the love letters he wrote to his classmates. I understand childhood crushes, but..." She pulled out another stack identical to the first. "He wrote the same letter to 499 girls in his year." I gaped at the stack of envelopes. What kind of operation was my brother running? "But, why is there one missing?" I asked, taking the stack with a trembling hand. My brother, still trying to justify his actions, piped up, "You said if you like someone, go for it. If it doesn't work out, there's always someone else." I wanted to melt into the floor. "No, what I meant was," I said, clamping my hand over his mouth, my mind racing. "If you get her, there's always someone." I trailed off, realizing the hole I was digging myself into was getting deeper. Betsy was looking at me, her eyes narrowed dangerously. "So is that what happened after we broke up? Did you find someone else?" I wished I had 3 hands so I could cover her mouth too. I glanced at Alex, who was staring at me with newfound admiration. I had inadvertently become a legend in his eyes. "Alex's behavior will be dealt with," I assured her, ignoring her question and trying to salvage the situation. "We apologize for any distress caused." I hauled Alex to his feet, ready to make a swift exit. "If you're apologizing," Betsy interjected, a mixture of amusement and exasperation on her face, "the girl who didn't receive a letter might need it the most." She fixed her gaze on Alex. "Why didn't Lily get a letter?" "My brother said she looked like a watermelon," Alex announced proudly. "She's been crying for 2 days." I dragged Alex out of the office, throwing him a murderous look. That little monster had just resurrected one of the most painful chapters of my life. "Ow, ow, ow." Alex whined as I marched him down the hallway, but he couldn't resist adding, "So you really did dump Ms. Willow?" "Get back to class," I growled. "One more stunt like this and I'm telling Mom and Dad everything." I was about to leave when I collided with a solid wall of warmth. Sorry. I mumbled, looking up to find myself staring into Betsy's apologetic eyes. "You didn't answer my question," she said, her tone light but her gaze steady. We found ourselves in the familiar setting of the small grove of trees behind the school. The same spot where we'd shared our first kiss, whispered secrets, and made promises we couldn't keep. Betsy spun me around, her fingers digging into my shirt. "Who did you move on to?" I swallowed, trying to avoid her gaze, but she held me captive. "I'm talking to you, Lee," she said softly. Her voice, a husky murmur, sent shivers down my spine. "That's my personal life," I mumbled, my resolve crumbling. Is that within a teacher's jurisdiction? I pushed her away trying to regain my composure. My hands were shaking, betraying my carefully constructed facade. After our breakup I moved abroad, burying myself in work and trying to outrun the pain. I heard snippets of her life through mutual friends, how she'd taken up running, adopted a stray cat, and how she who never touched alcohol had been hospitalized with a bleeding ulcer after our breakup. I had become her what if and never again. Don't tell me you've been pining after me all these years, I said, staring down at the ground. The once familiar path was now overgrown with weeds, but spring was pushing through the cracks. New life blooming in unexpected places. But could we bloom again? What if I said yes? His voice was low, almost lost in the rustling leaves. I laughed, a humorless sound that caught in my throat. You'd be disappointed then, wouldn't you? I held up my left hand, showing him the simple silver band on my ring finger. My wife and I are still together. I fled before he could see through my lie. Back in my car I leaned against the steering wheel, my hand pressed against my racing heart. I had to be the world's worst liar. The memory of our kiss, the feel of her hand in mine, it all came flooding back. I had tried to move on, but some wounds, no matter how deeply buried, never truly heal. The next day I found myself at a singles mixer, desperately hoping to outrun the ghosts of my past. And there, sitting across from me, was Betsy. Fate, it seemed, had a wicked sense of humor. So your wife finally kicked you to the curb? She asked, a mischievous glint in her eyes. I groaned, burying my face in my hands. You've got to be kidding me, I mumbled. It's a long story. Mr. Lee here is single and ready to mingle. My coworker, ever the enthusiastic matchmaker, clapped me on the back, completely oblivious to my internal meltdown. Didn't you say the guy you were supposed to meet tonight was a doctor? I asked through gritted teeth. She chuckled. He eloped with his high school sweetheart this afternoon. Asked me to find a replacement. I shot Betsy a suspicious look. What were the chances? As the evening wore on I watched as couples paired off, laughing and talking. Betsy and I remained awkwardly silent, the weight of unspoken words hanging between us. Ready to go? Betsy asked as we gathered our things. We stepped outside just as the heavens opened. Of course. My rideshare is taking forever, I muttered, pulling out my phone. Come on, Betsy said, tossing me her keys. A sleek silver Porsche blinked to life across the street. You didn't drink? I asked, surprised. Bad stomach, she said nonchalantly, her casual tone like a punch to the gut. She had always loved spicy food, earning her the nickname Iron Stomach during our college days. We drove in silence, the rhythmic swish of the windshield wipers the only sound. Outside, the city blurred into a kaleidoscope of rain-streaked lights. Inside I was drowning in memories. Don't want you catching a cold, Betsy said, handing me an umbrella as we pulled up outside my building. It was a small umbrella, forcing us to stand close, her shoulder brushing against mine. Come on up, I blurted out, the words escaping before I could stop them. Your clothes are soaked. Alex, a whirlwind of chaos as always, burst into the living room as I was hanging Betsy's shirt up to dry. Lee. Crisis. He shrieked. Ms. Willow is here for a home visit. He clutched his textbook like it was a lifeline. I ruffled his hair, wondering how two intelligent, academically gifted people managed to produce such a lovable but academically challenged child. Lee, do you love me? He asked suddenly, his voice taking on a dramatic tone. My heart swelled with a wave of affection. Of course, buddy. Why? He snuggled closer, burying his face in my shirt. Then promise me one thing, he mumbled into the fabric. Promise me you won't let Ms. Willow become my stepmom. My heart sank. Before I could respond, a voice cut through the tension. Sounds like someone hasn't been doing their homework, Betsy said, leaning against the doorframe, her eyes twinkling. I froze, my hand instinctively flying to her chest, a gesture so familiar, so ingrained that we both froze. I told you this shirt would look good on you, I managed, my voice raspy. Alex, bless his oblivious heart, gaped at us. Wait, you two know each other? My life was officially a sitcom. Don't worry, kiddo, I said, ushering him towards his room. Go easy on him, I whispered to Betsy, he's still young. She followed me, her smile widening. Don't worry, I have my ways. Later that night, after Alex was sound asleep, I found Betsy in my study toying with the silver ring on my finger. So she said, her voice laced with amusement. Your wife has the same initials as me. The truth was, our relationship had always been a tangled mess of passion and insecurity. After our breakup, I couldn't bear to delete her number, so I'd written it down on the back of our favorite picture and tucked it away in my desk drawer. Every now and then I'd take it out, tracing the faded ink, the numbers, a lifeline to a past I couldn't let go of. It's not what it looks like, I started, but she cut me off with a kiss, silencing my protests. You're a terrible liar, Lee, she murmured against my lips. But luckily for you, I'm a pretty good teacher. My phone buzzed on the desk, a message from Alex. Operation Get Lee a Girlfriend. Status update, mission success. You owe me a lifetime supply of candy. I chuckled and tucked my phone away. It seemed fate and a matchmaking little brother had finally intervened. I had a feeling this was just the beginning of our second chance.